there it goes. It says live now. We're good. So, um, as I said before we started, to cut out on time, we're probably just not going to talk about anyone underneath the viable line. Possibly even the viable line, to be honest. And anything above the viable line we'll probably talk about here. Just to cut out on time, since this usually takes a very long time. And anyone who is worth moving up, we'll just breeze through it and see if there's anyone worth moving up, and then we'll move them up accordingly once we get past. But otherwise, we're just going to leave them there, and I will move them after the stream, because just to cut out on time. So, I've also added on the side the new banners that were not added to the list over on this side. On the stream, it's slightly cut out on the do this so people can actually see it. Oh my god, I'm so bad.
Speaking of new banners, where's Nanami?
Oh right,
Where is Nanami?
she she I forgot to put her right here. I was gonna put her right here. Let me just
Damn, we forgetting about her. Forgetting about Best Girl. I can't believe you've done this.
I know. I'm gonna do this real quick so I have the template actually, and then it's funny because I'm gonna add it like this. Dude, she's so fun to use, but she's a new level of difficulty, you know? A new level.
Honestly,
I'm still trying the role, damn it.
I try her and I'm like, my god, my team is dead before she even get to do anything.
Well, what do you mean? She's a new level of difficulty. She's meant to kill you before the boss does. Not mean gaming, for sure. Okay. So start off with, right? I think before we add any of these characters, actually, you know what? Maybe we should just add some these characters in before we get started here. Or should we do the opposite? What are you guys' take on this?
Probably the opposite.
Probably move these guys accordingly first. Sure,
Yeah.
we can do that. Okay, so we're off on doing, if you only have this said style in JP, and no other version of the style. So if you have Suit Tama here, you're supposedly assuming that we don't have any other Tama, right? So no Tama 1, 2, 3, or 4, or 6. Not that 6 exists, but you get the point. We will still rate it as if you did somehow manage to get their mastery skill, and you did limit break them to 1, because to be honest, as everyone here can agree, at least in JP, if they're not limit break 1, you're probably never going to be using them. Especially for high-end content. You'll just like never touch them. So yeah, just getting to the point there. So to get started with, we can see if anything we can think of is change within our top 10 in our 10th place, which is there is no one. And I agree. If there is if you have every single one in the cast LB1, I still wouldn't tell you that they're like you know, a rate of 10 and say this is 10 out of 10 best style ever. And that is just because when you had more and more common skills and EX1s, like they get so much better to the point that it's a very different story. Tier 9, we'll get started with Suit Tama. I personally think that Suit Tama still has her place. We just all assumed that she would like actually get utterly destroyed with the addition of Ruka. However, as said before in the Limit Break 1, if you own everyone tier list, she's still one of the few that has Mind Eye, and one of the few that has great enhance, like large enhance. The heals are still like not really as important because now you can use Diva to like worry about that and stuff, but overall she's still really strong, really good. Just that she does see a little less play nowadays instead of just like literally being in every single team. So would I lower her from a top of rank 9? I would think so, because that spot really just goes to Diva, in my opinion. Um, how was your thoughts on that for you, Red?
Yep. Without LB3, she doesn't have enough to heal, but healing isn't hugely important. She's been replaced on some teams and stands to be replaced on more in the future. I still use her a bunch, but mostly because of her LB3, having
Yeah,
enough SP to do
that's
things efficiently.
that's me too.
At LB1, she feels a bit clunky now.
LB1, I think she's like really clunky.
10 SP for Mind's Eye is just too expensive.
It is. You want to see where we put her, at least for if we own everyone. So apparently we still left her at top of 9, because Diva is just that much stronger, which I do agree with. Right? Is like the difference between her with LB3 and her without it is pretty big. If you actually have done. If you actually tried using both without her LB3 and with her LB3, it's like playing a different ball game. So it's something to really account for. Now Yotsuha 1. If you saw before, she was up here and then she got moved over here. If you had all of her styles, a lot of it had to do with the fact that you can trade between her what's called SS2 and putting her SS1 kit onto her SS2, right? And using that as her fire roll, and that's why we lowered her to kind of lower up down by 1 right here during this place. And I still agree with this statement, actually. I think Yotsuha is still one of, if not one of the best like buffers in general and for doing her job. Although I will kind of cheat a little bit and go into a tier 8. But as you can see, Adele down here kind of mark the spot up here. I personally actually believe that at Limit Break 1, if you have both Adele and Yotsuha, Adele 4 probably is better, straight up. And that has a lot to do with she's just faster. Her buffs are really potent, just as strong. Not just strong, but slightly weaker. But Yotsuha is just a lot slower to use. And that's kind of the main concern you get when you're using Yotsuha, is she's pretty slow in JP, and so you have to play a little bit slower than you want to, and I think that's the main concern of Yotsuha. But with Limit Break 3 Yotsuha, and as well as other things, then she gets stronger. In the reason why I feel that you get a loss versus Yotsuha here with all the skills is that you can't choose between Yotsuha having to sit in the front and Yotsuha sitting in the back. And I think that's a bigger deal than what Adele loses, which is nothing. What are your thoughts on this, Red? You kind of agree with that statement where they're
Yeah,
worse than... I think Adele
I
4 is
think
still
Adele's
worse.
quite a bit better,
Yeah.
actually.
I think Adele is currently I think she is much better in terms of stuff, but at Limit Break 3 for both of them, Yotsuha is still top dog.
Yeah.
It's just that it
With the
depends on your
addition
limit
of
breaks.
With the addition of Misato, there's a higher emphasis on fire teams generating overdrive, and Yotsuha doesn't do that while Adol does.
Yep.
Which is a big point in her favor.
And yeah, so that's kind of the point here. Now we're going to go to debuffers. So big change about debuffers, depending on how you see it. So they change how orbs work. Amon orbs now have elemental defense down if you are doing a defense down that is weak, that the enemy is weak to. So Mia could technically now be an elemental debuffer for every single element, technically speaking, which is an enormous change in my opinion. Granted, the Amon orbs are actually worse. They do single target defense down, but unlike Softening Orb, which is not actually worse, it's just worse because the border
SP.
difference and the SP cost and lack of OD generation. There's a bunch of mini stuff, but to be honest, the ratio that you get is not that big of a difference. It is in fact a difference with Amon orbs. Amon orbs, their ratio is lower, actually straight up lower than single target ones. However, because Mia is a general debuffer with her EX doing both fragile and defense down, and you can pop it off because it lasts for 2 turns. Um, and on top of that, um, she can now do any kind of defense down on top of it. The fact that she can do this, but like Maki can't, um, like well, I had her over here, but she's now more generalized. Fubuki, right, and like these two cannot do what Mia can, comparatively. Where Fubuki can do it for Dark, Mia can do it for everyone comparatively because of the SP cost difference, and it's just much more efficient, effective. So at Limit Break 1, I would still value Mia. Like everyone in the debuffer section goes up a little bit, but Mia in particular hits that, and so she should be at the top of general debuffers in this, like in the current meta of JP. Just that you rarely do see her because there's just more things you can use instead nowadays, but she's still really good. But yeah, Red, you've noticed that, right? Like people don't use Mia anymore, but like you really can.
Yeah, I haven't been using her as much anymore.
Yeah. But I still think she is tier 9. Just that she's like that hidden gem that's like hard to fit into teams at the moment. Yeah, she kind of sits here. As for your elemental debuffers, we still have the Shadow series, which I just gonna nickname them that because it's just easier. These 3. For now, there's a lot of JP players who know, oh man, Tsukasa is probably the weakest one out of them because Diva exists. And I'm pretty sure Red is in that boat as well because we talked about that.
Oh yeah.
I still disagree with that statement. Tsukasa still allows you to do like 2-turning and stupid crap like that for for dark teams, especially with Aina 2. So she's kind of more like dependent, I guess you can say, with Aina 2. I'm still on that boat. I think over here I did note that, like, yeah, I still think that she's still better. And to be quite frank, I still do think she's still better. And they don't really move. Just like how over here, they have a Limit Break 1 and the difference. The only main difference here is I think Tsukasa 1 actually takes a small hit and should be rated a little bit lower just because she will miss out on her EX1, right? So her EX1 isn't like the biggest deal in the world, but not being able to utilize that actually is a small hindrance, and I think that it should be represented in like the tier list, essentially. That if you don't have it, it actually kind of hurts you a little bit. But not enough for your like most of the time usage. It's just that if you're trying to go for max score and stuff like that in JP, it's much more of a deal now in JP, which is why like we're emphasizing that more. Just because they added the new score attack feature of like, oh, every 200k you get extra like what's called which medals were again? Red?
Anachrones medals? I don't know what they're called.
Yeah. The hard mode medals. I forgot what they're called. We get more of those. Is it like substantial and unique? No, it's not. But like you should still kind of emphasize those things. Defender, there's still no one there. Defenders are kind of, I think they're kind of dead.
Yep, there's Aoi, and she's not even a defender.
And we just use her as an admiral. So yes. Healer wise, still
all the defenders are no longer defenders.
Yeah, all defenders are no longer defenders. Defenders are, they don't really exist.
Yeah, Diva Ruka is your defender now. Why do you need a defender?
Anyways, for healers, still I don't think there is a healer right now that you can say without their other versions is notably high up in the scale. They are good, but only like if in certain team comps. I think alone they just feel not as good as the combination of Admiral Aoi plus Diva Ruka. Diva Ruka plus Admiral Aoi combo is like basically all the heals you need nowadays. You break really early, you get the DR that you need really fast, and because Aoi exists, all your auto attacks, no matter who you buffed with Ruka, will crit. It's a full heal as long as they auto attack. The only issue is they have to auto attack, right? So there are nice ways to like try to alleviate having to auto attack every single turn or dealing some kind of damage, which is Aoi's Angel Wings. So like if you really think about it, it's just very very easy to play around. So healers, sorry, but like there aren't really any tier 9 healers nowadays, in like our honest opinion, just because they're kind of replaceable at this time.
Maybe when Mua gets buffed with
Yep.
her skill evolution, she'll be
Maybe.
up there.
Aina 2, one of the best winners of the Amon orbs. I was talking to Red earlier, but this is true. Aina 2 is technically not just a utility support, of course, we all know she also does elemental debuffing. She is also the best, if on paper, of course, just on paper, the best light debuffer with Amon orbs if at Limit Break 3. Now, this is talking about Limit Break 1. I'm just noting that she's just that good. Does she move at all with the current meta? I don't think she does. I think she's still like top of tier 9, but still not to this little extra point. The reason why she was not why she was like shifted here was to basically show that that there is a difference between her with her SS3 passive and her without it, which is true. It's not that huge of a difference, but 10% is 10%. So we would like to show that that is like a difference. Lolly, I see your mic is glowing up. Did you want to add something?
Oh no, I didn't talk. I think
Okay.
I was just catching like the wind or something.
Okay, I was just like, just making sure you're like if you're talking or not, right? So Aina SS1. Last time we talked, especially with Limit Break 1 and having everything, she's significantly fallen off as in like a standalone, especially. There isn't much she really provides anymore that everyone else can provide. Like everyone else provides it just better, right? It's 15 SP for a little bit more than half of your OD bar, and you could kind of spam it, sure, but it's 15 SP. It's pretty heavy. You lose out on dark debuff. You lose out on the debuff, like the stronger defense down passive from Aina 3. She missed out on a lot. She doesn't feel as good as a lot of these other ones over here, per se. And in fact, like, if you looked at where we placed her, even when she has everyone, she kind of like is still strong, just not to like high tier. And in fact, if she's missing out on a couple of the ones, I would probably rate her kind of lower in the tier 6 area. Like you actually just never see anyone use Aina nowadays. So I'm seeing the chat on YouTube. It says, so theoretically, which best SS1 should we get from SS1 free pool? You should wait until it comes out, and then you should choose according to what you're missing. It's better to have things than to not have things, especially if they haven't had their tower upgrade. If they've already had their tower upgrade, you could probably like not worry about getting them. But I think it's more advantageous to have more options than to have less options. So yeah, anyways, Aina, not even strong category anymore. Oops. Not even strong category anymore. I think she's like tier 6 at this point. Might move her once we get down there again. But I think Red can agree with me. Like, you'll never see anyone use vanilla Aina ever.
Nope, never.
She's kind of dead. But she was up there just because there weren't as many options, and nowadays there's just way more options. Even like within 2 months time change.
Yep.
It's a big difference.
And all of them can give defense down and fragile at the same
Yep.
time, which is what Aina cannot do.
Now, Admiral Aoi at Limit Break 1, does she move at all? I don't think so. I think she's still top of the line, like, just phenomenal, phenomenal character to have. You don't even need her SS1 EX to make her phenomenal, but with her EX1 what's called her EX1. She's just really great too. By the way, funny note. My friend was saying, the JP tier list for this, Red, for this.
Mm-hmm.
I think you mentioned it too. Instead of just having AS and Mastery, it should also include EX1 because of how easy it is to get it in JP.
Oh yeah, it's so easy to get SS ones.
But
Yeah.
like, you can't get all of them. So like, should it really have that? I was just thinking. It just reminded me of that. I think for now we will skip out on it and see
Maybe
how.
for the next list.
I think we should wait for it for what's it called again, the next time we upgrade this, just to see how much free stuff that WFS gives us, right? Because like, if they don't give us enough free stuff, then I wouldn't value that. You know what I mean? Like, I can't say, oh yeah, there's a lot of value in like updating the list that way, because so far we've only gotten what 10 selectors, and you have enough to pity 4 times.
Yep,
On
4 times.
S1? Did I say 4 times? So that's
That's right.
14, right? So like,
Not
if
to
you're
mention like
if they're most
the
unlucky,
conquest drop.
yeah, if you're most unlucky,
You just get to pick 10 from there.
No. I'm talking about the conquest. The conquest shop, you can pick 10,
yeah.
right? From
Yeah.
the green tickets, most people who have played for a long time can get 200 tickets, which means 200 summons, by the way, guys. And that's 4 times you can pity, because each pity is only 50 tickets, right? So effectively, you have 14 selectors. You just that the ones from Conquest, you can only choose the character once and not multiple times. I don't know about the green tickets though. The green ticket pity, I think you just buy them all multiple times. But
Yep, you can select multiple times.
I haven't tried, so I haven't. By the way,
can.
Red, I have yet to use any of the 14 selectors.
Damn.
I have yet to use them. There's no point for me to use them, so I haven't used them unless I really
Let's
want.
use them for fun.
No, dude. I'm a hoarder. Hoarder until EOS. Hoarder until EOS. Anyways, Irene metas. Irene versus Sumomo at Limit Break 1 without any of their other version. With this edition of Ruka 5 also included in here, how much do we value Irene versus Sumomo? I still think they're both top of the single target tier list. I still think they're the top. However, I personally have seen way more Sumomo, even though they're not LB3, than Irene. Irene's kind of been on the dying side in JP. If you actually look at the numbers and stuff, Sumomo actually deals more damage. There's a bunch of things going for it. And so, like, if I were to move, Sumomo would either go up or Irene would go down. And to be quite frank, with how damage damage dealers are now and everything, especially with more limit breaks, and with the new, 500 border Red, I'm more inclined to like drop Irene down than bring Sumomo up, if that makes sense.
Yeah, just like put Irene next to Sumomo
So,
where
like,
she stays.
I think Sumomo stays.
Yeah.
I think Sumomo is the queen right now of like single target damage, like straight up.
Yeah.
Inori's still queen of AoE. I don't think that's an argument. Irene is still really good for that, but you don't really use her. In fact, you just use her on Irene 2, right? But even then, she's still really good. I just don't see people using her anymore, anyways. But as for the AoE side, Yuina 4, she was placed up here because she had extra hit count on her EX, or you can put it as a blaster. You can make her build DR. There's a bunch of things she can do. I still value her to be as good as the others because of her supportive ability. So she is still gonna be in top of tier 9 just because literally no one else can do what she can do. And that's, I think, something that you should value very heavily. So I think that's done with tier 9 for now. Unless Red, you have something else you want to add here.
Nope, nothing to add.
Okay. these very, very, very sad Ichigo. Ichigo's like, I feel so bad for SS2, man. SS2 is like supposed to be good, and it's not anymore because of Diva. It's all Diva's fault. Anyways, we're going to go for Mari 2 and Union 1. Did I move Mari 2 to... Did I move Mari to Elemental? No, I didn't. Mari 2. Without her SS1. Well, obviously, she can't really break for you anymore. She's also not as potent in her other ability. She's just really a one-trick pony. How much do I value her? I still think she is where she stands. I don't know. How do you feel about her, Red? Like, she's still good, but there's like nowhere really to.
Yeah, Mind's Eye and Doping is really good, but
Yeah,
it's so hard to put her on a team.
it's so hard to put her on a team, but like I still think she, like, if you don't have whatever's above her, you really do put her in there. You know what I mean? You like stick her in there because you don't have. If you like, don't have Tama, you kind of stick her in there. If you don't have,
That's kind of been a spot for literally her entire existence.
yeah, I know.
Just like an alternative to the better buffers.
Now,
And she's still there.
Union, her existence because of Diva has been very unfortunate. I think we can all agree. She has become very unfortunate. In fact, people would argue whether it like the hit count change between being able to put it onto your just abilities versus like your auto attack would become an issue. I think like Union actually got the best reward off of that because it was painful to try to buff with Union without it having to be eaten up all the time, and your damage you have to sit in the back. However, it's just not good enough when you compare it to Diva, who can give you like hit count up for 3 turns and then OD loops with that for your OD loopers. So Union kind of takes a hit here. She's I would say like I can't really full-heartedly rate her like a whole tier down, but I do think she does deserve to at least be dipped down. If anything, she was dipped down here to tier 8, right? And this is already at bottom of tier 8. If you own everyone or not, it kind of doesn't change how good she is. So, she's still in the same boat. Red, do you have any thoughts on that, or do you think she should actually dip down to tier 7?
I would
strong?
probably put her down. I have not seen Union ever since Diva released.
Well, I
She's
mean-
just gone missing.
She...
I almost forgot she was in the game.
It's only been 2 months, dude.
A lot happened, okay?
It's only been 2 months, my dude. I mean,
I'll say in Yoyung's case is similar to Mari too, where if you don't have other options, so basically if you don't have any
Yeah.
self funnel buffers or like Diva, then she's still good for the option.
yeah, that's why I want to leave her in tier 8, right? But like,
So-
I would never dip her under tier 7. Okay, she's never gonna get under there. She's that good, but like, I think with everything she's like the unions are tier 8 like this with everything, but without everything, I think just this union can sit in like bottom of tier 8 and like just chill there alone.
Alright, but
But
the
like,
thing about
arguably, she is gonna be here, and Seika is probably gonna be lower now.
the
With
thing about
everything
not
else.
having like who's better than Union, like not having Diva and that she's an alternative to Diva, is that there's alternatives to Union in different teams. There's a lot
There
of
is.
characters
Yeah,
now
like-
who can
Yeah.
provide the same hit count buff to their allies for the element, and there's also characters who can provide it to themselves. And there's a lot of those now.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Mhm.
those.
So even if you don't have Ruka, she's competing with a lot of other styles. So that would be
Yeah.
my argument for putting her even lower.
That's true.
She's not an enticing alternative, even if you don't have the best.
Sure. You know what? For now, we will put her even lower. We might come back to this later, but I personally see more value in Muddy right now, in general, anyways, over Muddy 2 over Union 1.
Yeah,
Just
I
in
do
general,
too.
even if you don't have her, Muddy's SS1. Um, Now we're gonna look at the elemental buffers of Tsukasa and Chie. Tsukasa is still incredibly potent. People argue that like either her or Isuzu in light teams. If you actually look at the better light teams and the ones that actually can deal really high damage and are consistent stuff, Tsukasa is the winner. Sadly, um, Isuzu's great, but like sadly, Tsukasa just has damage, has like a lot of things just going for her. So she is straight up better in that aspect. Um, I think out of all the generally the elemental buffers, she is one of the most potent ones. Arguably, not counting Yotsuha and Adele because they're just way too good for their for the thing. I mean, the other reason why Adele is up there is because she also has this stupid shadow clone buff. Oh my god, dude, that thing saves your life every single time. But Chie is also really good too as Limit Break 1. She doesn't need to use any of her other styles to be worthwhile. In fact, Tsukasa 3 also doesn't use her other styles to be useful, unlike SS4. And a large part of that is because she doesn't have enough SP to deal with that, and she doesn't really need it to do her job, but she could use it, right? So, um, should they move? To be honest, no. I think Tsukasa is still really strong in the JP tier list. I did lower her without everyone. With everyone, and um, and that is somewhat true. But should she be like I'm still trying to reevaluate this part of the list because this part is actually very this is slightly outdated too, just because we added extra things. It's just very hard to like gauge this right here, right? No, not this. Sorry, this right now, which is the elemental, like the top elemental buffers. They're just really hard to gauge right now, overall. So, you'll see a lot of movement that like looks kind of weird and shifty because it really depends on who gets released. With Yuina existing and her existence, Tsukasa really just takes the floor, in my opinion. So, um, kind of placing her top of 8 is a little too high, but I still think she's an 8. What are your thoughts on this, Red? Because like you've been using light, but I don't know if you've been using Tsukasa 3.
I've been using her more recently because she has very good synergy with new Yuina, because Yuina buffs her and also lets her break a lot more easily, and she's very consistent at it.
Yeah,
And
but
I
like,
think they make an excellent combo.
but would you put her as top of tier 8 or bottom of tier 8? Because I'm more inclined to moving her to bottom tier 8, but above Chie. That's like where
Yeah,
my
I think
thoughts
that's
are,
fair.
right? On her current placement. Like she's just really strong right now because she synergizes extremely well with the current light JP meta. Which, by the way, Red, I am pretty sure right now that light, if the boss is everything weak, light is like the second, if not the third strongest element right now.
Good
It's
to hear.
so strong. Like all the light views, dude. Light is just so strong with Yuina. Yuina's Tsukasa combo is just too stupid. I wish I had Yuina. I really want to pawn that banner more, but I know what's coming is probably gonna be better, so I should hold off. I did get Nikaido, so we're good. Um, Maki SS1. I've actually seen more use from her recently than I assumed she would get. Even at SS1. However, I think I have been valuing her a little bit too high, and she can't be valued as high anymore because it's really hard for her to use her EX twice and use Amon orbs, and you have to like really think about like the fact that you can use Amon orbs. Um, the other major hit that she has is that sure she's good at building DR, but she's going to be hitting low potencies on her defense down and fragile, especially at Limit Break 1, because we're literally only talking about Limit Break 1. So I think I did value her a little too high. I think she does take a little bit of a notch down, because at some cases you can argue Mia 2 can get a little bit higher when it comes to than Border in JP, but you cannot argue that for Maki 1. Her values just do not reach those levels. So while Mia 2 can use all the Almond orbs and she has SP for that, Maki 1 just cannot do that right now. So I am putting Maki down one notch, but she's still really strong. She's still very much valued in Irene comps, right? So if you're running Inori, you will see Maki a lot. But just note that it just depends on your team, right? Let's see. For elemental debuffers, we have Megu, Miko, and Isuzu. To be honest, Megu Fire is better than Megu Thunder, right? Unless LB3 or when Megu has or when you don't have Megu 5. So Megu 5 is still going to be above Megu 3 because she has the innate passive to make fields stronger. God darn that passive. It's so good. Do I want to move any of these guys? To be quite frank, I think they're actually really solid where they're at. What are your thoughts on this, Red? I actually think they're just really solid. I think they deserve tier 8 at Limbrick 1, and they deserve that spot, and they just kind of sit there. I don't think
Yeah,
any
they
of them need
pulled
to
up
move.
really well.
They nothing that has come out has shaken them, right? Oh, you know what I didn't put over here that I need to put in that I didn't care about enough?
Mhm.
Dude, there's supposed to be a banner right here. AV.
Probably don't need to do
No,
that.
I don't even
They're
need
not
to do
that
it. They're
important.
not good enough to put on here. Oh, jeez. Aoi SS1. Is she still good? No one uses her naked style anymore, but I would still consider it good. I think she still sits in this spot. It's just that everyone has Admiral or Thunder, so they would just use that instead. I think it's fair enough to say she deserves that spot, but really you're not using her SS1 anymore. Mua, the only place that you really see her nowadays is with Nanamin Gaming. There is no other place that you see her. She has a place if you are using Nanami on your team, but that's because Mua can build Mind Eye while healing, and Nanami will just be the only buff that her team needs is Thunder Enhance and Mind Eye, so she can provide that. Now, if there's a new healer that has Mind Eye plus Thunder Enhance, you bet that Mua 1 is just replaced on Nanamin teams. Outside of that, she has she's not really used just because there are still very few methods to bring Mind Eye, but all the other ones are just a bit more useful than she is as a character as a use in JP. Granted, she is strong because of her mastery skill is very good, being that when she gets hit, she gets +1 SP. So she's still really strong. Just that that's why her value is at top of tier 8, but she can't really go above that. I can't imagine her being above that. And if anything, she could even be rated as the bottom of tier 8. There's nothing holding her to the top or the bottom of it, but I don't see a reason to actually move her. There's no reason for me to say, yes, she deserves to be lowered, unless Red has another thing to say that she should be lowered. I
Nope,
just can't see
I got nothing.
her to be lowered, especially with Diva around. So I think they're just chilling. Limit Break 1, but you don't own any other version. Nanamin DP, no, it doesn't. Not that I know of. Because you have to be hit by the enemy, right? It should. It should. But yeah, so anyways, Yuina, Kura, Waki, and Yuki. A Limit Break 1. I'm still a huge fan of Yuina. Um, like, she's just really good when it comes to extra turning and everything like that. She's just even better at Limit Break 3. Yuki is still incredible with her hacking, especially. I think people are undermining Yuki a little bit because, well, new borders at 500, so she really does help that, like, reaching that new border, especially if you haven't finished up level maxing. She is incredibly potent in her job. But Limit Break 1, the main issue is that she herself, even with hacking, will not reach, like, close to max, um, what's it called, stats for trying to debuff on Fragile. And even if you max out her luck, it's just not cutting it. But she still has really good use on downing the enemy and then making sure that they don't get an extra turn. There's a bunch of things like that she has going for her. So I think she's still really strong. Um, Tier 8 material, maybe a little move. But for sure, Yuina and Kuda are Tier 8 level. If they are to be moved, they'd only be moved to the bottom of Tier 8. And then Waki recently, I just don't feel a placement for her. I think she's just fallen off quite a bit, especially because Thunder has fallen off quite a bit overall.
Yep.
So if anyone moves in here, I think it'd be Waki, right? And to like keep it consistent with our other list, right? Waki over here is like if she had everything with her, she'd still be up here. And look, Yuki is up here, and she doesn't really need her other versions, right? So like, arguably, I would even move Yuki up, but like, Waki's just it's just hard to like say that she is worth being up there, until she's like LB3. It just doesn't. You just can't really feel a placement for her in a Thunder team nowadays, like you used to. And but like for dungeon and for like multi-hit content, she could be your damage dealer. There's a lot of things she can do. Just that I feel like she's kind of lacking at the moment. But overall, I would personally at least put her behind Yuki at the least, something like this. And I think this is fair for now. But if Waki were to be top of tier 7, I don't think that anyone would be against that, per se. I think you like agree with this thing, though.
Yep, I agree.
Now for single target damage dealers. Okay, so funny note, I went to do some more math, Red, and I know I initially with this list lowered Adele 3 on here. I was wrong. I'm gonna note this right now. I was wrong. Adele 3 is still really, really strong. Definitely not top of tier 8 or anything. Definitely at least moving down 1. But she doesn't. But like because of how good dark supports are, she's still the best dark damage dealer and still phenomenal. She actually competes with those other damage dealers that have like the 50% HP modifier, while she doesn't. So she still houses a lot of potential and everything. And obviously doesn't even require Duka, but she can still use Duka, right? The diva. Yuki is not as potent as a damage dealer as Adele, and so like she should obviously at least move down 1, because she has to be behind Adele no matter what. And Adele 2, unfortunately, is not as potent as Mari 3 or Kanade 2, but she is also just very comfy and very easy to use. But in JP, with the new changes of like trying to reach extra heights in score attack, you probably won't see Adele 2 anymore. But like if you just want a comfy run of hitting I think the new boundary is 1.6 or is it 1.4? Red. I forgot.
Boundary for what?
Getting the Narvi,
Oh, it's 1.6.
black one, 1.6. Yeah. So to get 1.6, Adele 2 is still like the way to go. You know what I mean? For reaching those things. But if you want to hit like 2 mil plus or whatever, yeah, forget about it. She's not gonna get you there. I mean, she can. Just that it's just a lot harder for her to do that. So Adele 2 would be moved down for now. I'm gonna put her in the corner here until we have a better placement while we talk about other things. But I think this is kind of agreeable. Ruka, her main issue is, well, I mean, you can't use her while you use Diva, so it's actually very hard to use her. Red, did you see Kappa's run with 3 mil with Ruka?
Nope, I didn't see it.
Okay, so apparently you can 2-turn the boss, and you use her as your damage dealer, and you get 3 mil.
Pretty funny.
Funny, and I mean that. By the way, this has nothing to do with how strong Ruka is. This has everything to do with the strength of Dark supports, are just really strong. The problem with Dark right now is actually that their damage dealers kind of stink, because they all used to work off the fact that they don't need Union to do well, which is they have the hit count buff. However, Ruka can provide that now, so they lost their giant potency increase, like power increase. They lost it comparatively to other damage dealers. So like they're still really good. They just don't feel as good anymore because of that. By the way, when I do like scroll through things, does this even show 5 FPS lolly? I know you said like you're laughing at the 5 FPS when I was like streaming this, but
That wasn't me.
oh, wasn't you? Who was it who said that?
Isn't me.
Oh, it was like a while ago. I was just like, if I scroll, does it? Anyways, Ruka, Ruka is, well, you know, we're still going to move King Ruka to be lower, but I did, but that's because it's not LB3. I do still value her, and she's still viable. She's just a lot harder to use because you can't use Diva with her, right? Like, there's a lot of overlap. I think in this list, I like basically said that she's not worth using. Like, she's in like straight up viable right here, and to be quite frank, I still agree with that term, which is why I moved down here. Is like she's still viable, but it's just very much harder to use, just because you can't use Diva at this point. So there you go. I think these are the changes that should happen at least in Tier 8 that was currently in Tier 8. There are ones that in Tier 7 that should move up, I think, with the new changes. But this is just like what I have so far. You agree with the, like, what do you think about that? Like, Red, how I like moved everyone around like that?
Looks alright, yeah.
I think it's fair,
Hard
right?
to complain with it.
Now, the thing that the sadness is this AoE. Ichigo hits the dumpster. I'm so sad, dude. You know she used to have one of the top potency and damage, right? Red.
Yeah, she's very good numbers and hit count.
But now she
And then
doesn't,
Diva.
because everything was built off of that hit count buffs and stuff, and that she can do it herself. And now everyone else can get it because of Diva. Her numbers just look so pitiful. It's so sad. So, yeah, Ichigo, I want to move her wherever I moved her over here because she doesn't really need anything, which is the same spot right here, right? Bottom of strong. I just don't see her being any more than that right now. She's still strong, just doesn't feel as good using because, well, Diva kind of just takes her job. I think it also hurts her that she will be debuffed as a after her EX with what was it called again? Recoil, and
Yep.
and I think the only neat thing you have is you can use another skill with her after you use her EX, and that EX skill. I mean, like after the EX skill will still have a hit count buff. So building OD isn't as strenuous with her, technically speaking, it just doesn't feel as good. Like before, where her damage was like phenomenal, and like really amazing. Monaka, dude, she is a monster now with Yuina. Oh my god, dude. Wait, Red, do you even have Mona too?
I have her LB3 actually.
Dude,
I got her so many times.
I'm telling you right now, okay? You have Yuina 5, okay? Dude,
Yeah.
try her with Mona 2. Dude, she will explode things. Holy, dude. Mona deserves to be in the top spot of tier 8. Um, even like, because she doesn't need her SS1. She's just so strong right now, especially if you have like the parts around her, which is like the Yuina 5. And Yuina 5 makes her job so much easier because you can just give her tokens. It's so easy. So Mona, top of non I don't think it's arguably like anything else, but top of tier 8. I think she blows all the rest of the ones who are here out of the water in terms of um, like damage and usability and everything like that. And so I will net her there and I'll kind of leave her there. Um, as for the rest, I think Yuina's 3 is still phenomenal, still strong. I don't think she needs to move on from her spot because her other versions basically bring nothing to the table, except for what's it called again? Yuina 4 giving her the extra turn for the whole team. But to be quite frank, she doesn't exactly need it, but it's useful
Nope.
for her because Dark can really abuse that with Aina and Tsukasa. So like where I put her over here, which is still at the bottom of 8, I still kind of value her there. She is still in the same spot. Even with or without that, the gameplay isn't that much of a difference, especially if everything you have is Limit Break 1. So she still is going to be stuck in this spot. Waki 3, still very strong in the department of Thunder. I don't think anyone can argue beyond that. Now, do I want to move her or not from this position? I mean, looks like from previously she's still above Yuina, and to be honest, I still kind of agree with that statement. Even though Yuina does more damage, I still kind of because like she has the SP donation still in her kit. The only difference is she doesn't have the hit count buff with the defense up anymore. She doesn't have like little extra stuff that she can use. So does that like make a significant change? Not so much. So like you can mix and match which one's better. Wake 3, Yuina 3. I don't think it's that big of a difference that we should like waste time trying to figure out which one's which. And then as you can see, Misato is still above here, and I agree with that because I mean, to be honest, there's no movement here because for her because she doesn't gain anything from her. Actually, you know what? I'm wrong. Red.
Mm.
The changes to Misato 1 EX, I'm wrong.
Yeah, she got buffed.
She got buffed. I mean, granted, this one's technically the one that's wrong, not this one, because this one is like, things haven't changed, and things have not changed for her. But funny enough, she did get buffed. Something I'll note. Do you think we should add these in after strong? Because they all kind of fit in that category, so once we finish with that section, we can fit them in. What do you think?
Yeah, sure, whatever you want order you
Okay,
want to do it in
sure.
is fine.
We'll just get through strong at the very least. So, now we're in tier 7 strong. Woo! Seika 2. With all the extra crit buffers, with all the extra stuff that's happening, I think she drops again. I think Red would agree with me. They added more crit buffers. They added like way more things to make her just. It's not that not viable, but like just not a better option than the rest. So I think she will dip down to tier 6. Still strong,
Yeah, that's fine.
but like if you're doing light, you have Yuina for crit. If you're using fire, you have Yotsuha for crit. You have also like so many other characters for crit. Iroha 2 can give you crit. Like there's just everyone can give you more crit at this point in the game. And in fact, if you have Aoi Admiral, then you crit no matter what. So kind of not so great at the moment. As for elementals, right here, Yotsuha I think kind of takes a back seat recently. I haven't seen anyone run Yotsuha 2.
I wonder why.
I mean, Tsukasa is just better. And you don't need the hit
Her
count
hit
buff.
count buff just keeps getting worse and worse.
What?
Her hit count buff just keeps getting worse and worse.
Dude, they should. Okay, you know when they gave us the buff wave, I was surprised she wasn't on there. I was
Maybe
like,
next.
dude, where is she? She deserves a buff, dude. She's so. I do know for a fact, dude, they did not give her a good key on SS2 because her SS1 was too good. They literally just made a shittier version of her SS1. Oh my god. But yeah. Either way, tier 7, yeah, I don't think so anymore. I think she is more tier 6, especially with Yuina being out. She just doesn't feel as potent, as powerful. And Yuina basically took her last remaining job, which was crit damage, light crit damage. So the only thing that Yotsuha had left was bringing light crit damage, and so it was taken away by Yuina. Which it's not just taken away; it's actually just better. Wait, Red, you know I just realized?
Yeah.
Yuina 5, it costs 8 SP to give 130% crit damage for light. And Yotsuha's, you need like, for 90%, you need like, what, 24?
Does it even give 90%? I thought it was 60% at 2 stacks.
No, it is 45, 45. So it's 90.
Damn.
So
Yeah, that's pretty unfair.
it's 24 SP.
26.
26?
26.
Yeah, it's 13 per cost.
13 for Yotsuha?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, dude. Yeah, I mean, she's
Do you
still
know what
strong.
Yurina can do for 13 SP? She can use her 5 SP extra turn and then get enough tokens to use her ultimate right after for 8 SP. For the exact same cost. In 1 turn. On the first turn even. So it's even better.
Even better.
Well, not on the first turn.
Well, not on the first turn, but like in 1 turn, if she has SP to do it,
Yeah,
she
she
can.
can get the tokens still.
It's so disgusting, dude.
And she's doing other things at the same time.
It's not even fair, man. It's not fair. But yeah, Yotsuha definitely dubbed down to tier 6. There's just no question on that. It's just she just got literally like sidelined by Yuina. It's just not even funny. Tsukasa 2. Wait, why was Tsukasa 2 up here without her field as strong? She should be in tier 6, but then again, tier 6 is like convoluted. I think I should at least start moving some things down. Definitely tier 6 material. Union 2. Also tier 6 material. If anything, you know what? She might even be just tier 5 material. I don't think she's like anyone even using her. Actually, like think of like
Yeah. Cost too much.
yeah, I don't think anyone uses her.
Nope.
Straight up, no one uses her. Yeah, I don't see a place to use her at all. Even in the top of like Thunder teams, you don't even run her anymore. You run Koju 3. Just not. She's just not like strong. She's viable, but she's just not strong anymore. Especially without Union 1. And even with Union 1, she's just costs too much SP and it's too slow. Cotton 4. Yeah, doesn't deserve this spot. In fact, I'm just gonna I just realized, but a lot of these are just very much lacking in viability recently. I think I'm just gonna do this real quick. Just gonna take all of these and just do that. I think this is fair. We're just gonna shove everyone down. Like, it's funny of how like good these guys are, and it's just like there's just this hole right here, you know, like Now,
Why you have Tsukasa 2 twice?
Yeah, wait
um,
a sec.
because she was originally moved. This one needs to be deleted. Um,
Oh.
we will move these later. Like I said, a bunch of the elemental buffers are really like very close in how strong they are, so it's really hard to gauge which one's like actually better. Um, and a lot of them really need their other versions to make them really good. Just like how over here you
Mm.
notice that they're all kind of like in similar areas now. Like a lot of these should move nowadays because of like what we've seen recently. But as you can see, they're all relatively close in like power and stuff. But over here, they're just very a lot weaker without all the components. Let's put it that way. Isuzu 2, without any of her other versions, I think she still stays here. She loses out on fragile, which is a big deal. But her DP defense down is good. Her defense down is good. But without her fragile, I just don't see a reason to use her. I think Red would agree. But she's still very strong, by the way. Just that, like, if you see a lot of R comps and everything, most of the characters that like top, what's called top teams, for score attacking and stuff, will use is basically anything in tier 8 and above. You will rarely see anything lower than a tier 8 in JP when it comes to high scores for score attacking. Um, that's just how it is in JP right now. As for tier 7 of elemental debuffers, just like before, Mia's very strong because she still has her um, she still has a lot of synergy with Hisame 4 because they none of their debuffs actually overlap. Like when I say overlap, I don't mean like they're not additive. When I say overlap, I mean Mia's are eternal debuffing, while Hisame is regular debuffing. So they're additive to each other, and it's not like one debuff is better than the other. Like they're actually just additive. Imagine B Lightstyle in this economy against Yuina SS5. Yeah, it's true. Like if you're light and you do anything that is the job that of Yuina 5, you don't exist anymore. Your job looks like something like if you overlap with Yuina 5 anywhere, you just don't exist. It's bad. Aina 3 without her SS1 kind of feels bad. And Isuzu 1 without anything also feels kind of bad. Granted, they're still very strong. So I still keep them in the strong category. Would I move them down in our current economy? Do you think Isuzu would be marked down? I think so. I think Aina's fine where she's at because she doesn't overlap with anyone, Red. But I think Isuzu 1 actually should be lower in our current
Yeah,
economy in
more
JP.
units can do what she does now with the new Amon orbs.
Yeah. Like Aina 3 is still like nothing can compete with her at the moment. And same with Mia 3. Like they're both really good at eternal debuff down, plus they have their fragile. So they're just really still potent at their job. But I'd say Aina 3 just doesn't feel as good without Aina 1. I think it's kind of the same set in my head here, right? Yeah. Like they're still kind of right here. Yep. Um, so yeah, there we go. Idia SS1. I still think she should be here, actually. I don't think there's a change. In fact, I probably like, yeah, I probably just like rated her a little bit lower. No, it's literally the same spot. So like, I don't think there's a reason to move her. I think we should leave her there. Very good alternative. For Aoi, very good alternative. Just who uses defenders nowadays? But still very good. As for healers, these healers here, um, Carol sadly has taken a massive hit. She's just not useful for fire teams anymore. Her main use before was she was actually very when she was first out. She made it fire teams really fast, in fact, I was just thinking, Red, am I right about this? Carol was a single rate up by herself, right?
Well, yeah, I think so.
Wow, that's one of the worst single rate ups that we've had. I mean, the other one was really Inori 2 was like one of the worst rate ups, and then they buffed her. But like, jeez, that's so bad. But yeah, this is just has to happen. I don't think there's an argument before that. If anything, Mion is better than her SS2. So Yanagi SS1 is above SS2 in nearly every regard without having being able to use both. Um, I just want to see where I put them, just so I make sure I'm in line with what I have here. Yeah, so this I think is fair. If anything, she's gonna move down one. Um, and I move Seika 3 up here, but Seika should just be higher than them. So I think what I should do is move it like this. So they're kind of like shifting around each other. Here's the thing. And I think Red can agree with me on this. There is a saving grace for Yanagi 3 to be actually really good because her base of Yanagi 1 is actually really good. Especially because she has heal, plus overheal, plus charge, plus SP donation. That base kit is actually really strong. She just has no purpose with that. Like, she just does that and that's it. So, there is a world where we can see Yanagi 3 being incredibly strong. Because Yanagi 1 helps complement that. And I think Red can agree with me on that. However, Carol, on the other hand, has like a really terrible template that she actually needs an SS3 that completely rehashes her whole entire kit to make her remotely good. I think you can agree with me on that, right?
Yeah, it's just hard to fit healers in your team now, unless they do something exceptionally strong, and she doesn't. But she's good when you can fit her in.
Yeah. Am I doing tier? Yeah, I'm doing the tier listing thing right now. Granted, I am cutting it short, as in anything. We'll see how long it takes, but anything that's at like probably I'm not gonna cover anything on the viable line and below unless I think it should be something that should be raised up. Like I'm just gonna breeze through and be like, which one should be raised up, and then do that accordingly. Um, and a lot of that has to do with there's just so many styles nowadays. I think it's like 150 now. It's just too much time wasted if I keep doing that, right? Close with 3. So previously with the changes here, she was placed in tier 9 if you have everything, and I mean her SS1 especially, and then she was moved down to tier 7 without her SS1. True. However, I think her SS1 is even more vital to her kit that I'd actually want to lower her even more. As of right now. So I think I will lower her a little bit. In fact, Chiroru's definitely not in tier 7 anymore. I think she needs to not exist in tier 7. I think she is gone to just viable at this point. She's just viable and that's it. I don't I think like before I had some usage, I had some stuff with her. Nowadays I just even if there's multi-target bosses, there's just so many better options. Like you can literally use someone like Yuina 5
Just
to do her job. But better. I'm in pain, Red, whenever I think of Yuina 5. She's just too good.
let light have fun. Come on.
I'm
Been
just
so
saying,
long.
Light is meta, and I think Light deserves the limelight right
I
now.
love new Uena. It's so good.
Dude, New Yuna is just so strong.
I'm using her with SS1 kind of day. It's just stupid too.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we're gonna go with damage dealers in tier 7. Okay, Aoi without SS1. She is still very strong. In fact, she is even stronger because of Diva. However, I will just note that Thunder is kind of, in my opinion, the weakest element in JP right now. A lot of that has to do with the fact that they overlap too much. Where Light, they stopped overlapping as much because Uina 5 introduction. Thunder is unfortunately under the boat of they are very overlapping. So they are missing a lot of vital buffs and stuff, and therefore they're kind of stuck in a very particular place, and Aoi does not help them get out of that. So unfortunately, like I think I should leave her where she is. In JP, she is still very much used. Just because in JP we used a lot of Thunder, so a lot of free to play or low spenders um, are still stuck on Thunder, if not using Sumomo 3, right? Like if you look at like low spending JP players, they either go Sumomo 3, Inori 2, or Aoi, and that's all you see from them. And that has a lot to do with their investment costs are very, very low, or they've already invested in them, right? So, like for instance, Red here, he heavily invested Sumomo, but now that he has a very nice Uina 5, he's been trying to use more Light, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I always try to use light, but nothing's ever light weak. But now they are.
Yeah, I
For
know.
like 2 score attacks in a row. It's
I
great.
know, it's great. You should use Mona too.
Yeah, but I'm using Kanade for now. She gives Mind's Eye.
Ah, there we go. It was getting dark, and I was like, let me like open up the blind so I'm not getting blinded by my screen here. Mari 4. Previously, Mari 4 was put in here because, well, she is a very solid kit, like by herself. Um, in JP, I feel like with the addition of Ruka, she has seen a lot less use because there has been more push for characters that can at least build a little bit extra DR. Being able to break or whatever. Like if you actually watch a lot more JP stuff, your main damage dealer doesn't break anymore for most teams. Like not all teams, but for most teams, you actually have a secondary damage dealer who kind of like does the breaking, whatever, and they want to be the ones who at least can build some DR to some degree. Mari is fire. She kind of doesn't fill that rule at all either, and fire on single target. Like Diva Ruka is just straight up better in many regards in damage because she just doesn't have to fill up an extra slot. So Mari 4, I am going to lower her on this list, but I still think she's very strong. Just that she's just not as potent as the others on this list. So for now, I will lower her to tier 6, and we will kind of gauge upon that later. As for Kanade, dude, her stocks at least 1 tier up. If anything, I wouldn't be like against putting her at top of tier 8. She's gotten incredibly strong because she can peel herself self-mind eye, and with how strong Light is, especially with the new Uina, she's just really potent because she doesn't even have to break the boss anymore. She just comes in, swoops up for the kill, and is like just phenomenal and all that. But yeah, so that's kind of like my take on Kanade 1. You've been using her a lot more, Red, than me, so like what are your thoughts on her?
She's fantastic. Almost flawless for single target DPS. Hard to get better.
Yeah, I mean,
except just bigger numbers.
I should probably do this. She's definitely better than Yuki 6. So, granted, just letting you know, by the way, guys, Yuki 6 is not here because she has top damage. She's here because she's very easy to use, right? And very easy to execute. That's why she's up here. Just giving a heads up if anyone's confused. It's not because her damage is high. It's literally because she's just very easy to use, very, very noob friendly, and minus 100 stats is huge when you're trying to hit like 500 border. You know what? I think Kanade 1 is actually better than. There you go. I think this is more correct. I wouldn't argue against her being top of tier 8, but for now, I think we should leave her like this. Yudi. Yudi is also one of the winners of Fire. She's actually incredibly strong. People just don't use her as much because, well, you could just use Diva as your single target damage. However, if you like kind of scrounge around JP and everything else more, um, Yidi actually takes a large amount of presence. That I would personally actually still put her in the same tier as Kanade, just because she can also do blasting. So she's one of the rare damage dealers that like you would put Diva buff on, and she would both break the boss and then get them to 999 like instantly. So because she's also a blaster, so she does both jobs very well, and you can just combine them two, and so she deserves a spot in bottom of tier 8, like pure bottom of tier 8. Ichigo 2, still very strong, even strong with Diva, but honestly, not as strong as Muddy. We're gonna dip her down because she kind of deserves that spot to be dipped down. And Duka 1, obviously, we're gonna lower her down just because, well, she doesn't have, um, doesn't come with Mind's Eye. She doesn't come with Diva. She is not Diva, right? And thus she is down in viability. If anything, she is like unviable. So we're just gonna put her 4 for now. So not very viable. If anything, not viable at all. Chie 2. Personally, no one uses her anymore, but that's because everyone just uses Adele 3. Does that mean she's bad by any means? I don't think so. However, her only main plus nowadays is you don't need Diva to like use her properly. So, if anything, Chia is and Adele, they kind of live here. They're very strong, but there's like they're just better options. Of course, when you look at Ice, it doesn't look at these better options. We just need to bring Kanade 2 to be up there sooner. But she'll be up here later. But that's kind of like where we're at. As for Kaden 3 and Ichigo 2, so Ichigo 2 should stay where she's at right here. Kaden 3, I think she kind of gets hurt by not having her what's it called again? Her SS4's double EX, as well as her hit count buff not really meaning as much anymore comparatively to before, where that was kind of like her mainstay of making her build a lot of DR and her mainstay of like being prominent in the meta. I haven't seen anyone really use her anymore, Red.
Nope,
Especially
I
for damage.
never really used her though.
So, even for like AoE damage, so it feels bad.
Just use Tsukasa instead for AoE damage.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm gonna
Yes,
nail
also
her
that
how we
Yurina
down.
5 exists now.
Yep.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
just a better AoE
well, no.
blaster for light.
Yeah, but I mean, this is for damage, and technically, Cotton is better in damage than Yuina is.
Oh, yeah.
By a lot.
That's true.
So, this is damage, not like how good they are in terms of anything else. So, her damage doesn't feel as good though because everyone else basically just caught up with her in damage. So I'm just gonna bring her down to tier 6, and we'll see how we gauge with her with the others, and then we'll get to finish tier 6, and we'll see if time allows us to at least do tier 5 before we give up on the rest, because there's no reason to talk about these at that point. Tier 6, Seika 2 and Minori 2, I think they are fine here. Tier 6 is kind of at this point in JP, if you really like, you will rarely see anyone from tier 6 being used. If they are, it's because the rest of the team is like in the tier 9 through like tier 10 through 8 range. Like if they're tier 10 through 8, they might gauge someone from tier 6. Otherwise, you will rarely see anyone from tier 6 here. Especially if you don't have all their parts, you will just never see them see play in JP, especially from the higher tier people. So yeah, Seika 2, Minori 2. Out of these two, to be honest, you see more Minori 2 than Seika 2, but even then, you don't see them anymore because of all the crit buffers that exist. So, just noting. As for the elemental buffers, we're gonna start just like I think I'm gonna skip them for now, and I think I'll get back to them when I finish everything else up because I think I should rate them all as like this whole block and move them around this block. What do you think, Red? Do you think I should do that? I think it makes more sense. There's just so many.
Yeah. Make a bit more room.
Um, Miko and Fubuki. Okay, so Fubuki gets the buff, but she doesn't have her SS2. She will still be. She's more used for general debuffing nowadays, than dark debuffing. So I will move her according to that. And with her buff change, I think she is at least under Maki. So we'll move her here for now. She is under Maki, but she is like barely, if not that much better than Isuzu. So kind of in the middle, maybe even do this. I think. The main reason why you would see Fubuki, you see Fubuki more than Maki or whatever, is dependent on the team of who's doing the blasting. Really, Maki is just really good because she also brings blasting to your team. So that's about it for that. Miko still tier 6. Unfortunately, not super using ice. In fact, just never using ice anymore. Her main issue being that she overlaps with Hisame in defense down, and for ice defense down. So it's just kind of like the same. There's no reason to worry about that. So we're just gonna like skip out on that, right? Isuzu 1 was moved here, and I think this is fine. Remember, both of their jobs can technically be replaced with Amon orbs nowadays, so that's just how it is. Megu 4, however, is not affected by Amon orbs, and in fact, will further increase your dark damage. She's not really used, mostly because it's actually just really hard to use her, per se. If anything, I'm just going to move like this, so Megu should be right here. But we're assuming that this Megu will only have defense down and no fragile because that's on SS2. And we have the perma, single target, defense down, dark defense down. That's all you're going to have. Is she good? Well, she at least doesn't get overlapped, but that's about it. Nothing phenomenal for her to take home, sadly. And
I can take a quick 5-minute break and then be back.
Sure, that's fine. So that's kind of like her main issue here. Ichiko 1 and Seda 2. Tier 6. Just straight up. There's no movement for them. Seda doesn't get the upgrade from Seda 1, which would have been very phenomenal, push her up, but sadly that's not the case here. So we're going to leave them as they are. Hopefully Ichiko 1 gets a nice tower upgrade, but like what is she going to get? Lolly, what do you think Ichiko 1 should get for her upgrade?
What can you even give her to make her like better though?
What can you give her? 100% OD. What do you mean? I'm just kidding.
Yeah. I don't think they're gonna pull another Fubuki or Aoi like that.
No, I'm just not 100%. So she does defense up and fire enhance, right? So, and there's no reason to put fire crit damage on her when everyone else has fire crit damage.
Mm-hmm.
So probably just OD
What?
increase or something, dude. I'm not gonna lie. By the way, the thing's only 9 SP. It's so cheap. It might even make it 3 turns. Who knows? Tama 3. Tama 3 is actually potent right now in JP. Just that people don't use her because there's just better options. Reason being that she's potent is that you don't need Tama 5 anymore. You don't need Suit Tama anymore in your team. So for Thunder. And so you can actually viably run Tama 3 now. Is it worth it? It is if you're running Nanamin, to be quite frank. Otherwise, no. Carol 2, is yeah. Honestly, she's just worse than Tama 3. Tama 3. That's just how bad this is. Um, it just feels bad at this point. Still viable. They're still pretty good. I see no reason to move Tama 3 at all. In fact, I think over here I did move her to tier 8 if you have all the parts, which is true because you have like the large enhance and all the extra stuff. But like without any of that, she's okay. She's nothing amazing. Still slow. Still costs 15 SP. Even 14 with Aoi, but still doesn't feel that great. So that's my take on her. I think we're here. That's fine. As for utility supports, I think this is also fine. There aren't many changes here, just because, well, you don't really see. I don't think you see any of them. I think, yeah, I don't think I moved them at all. Yeah, I didn't even move them at all. So like, they don't deserve a spot to be moved. And Yuina does not have her Yuina 5, not Yuina 5, Yuina 4
For
extra turn for
extra turn.
everyone. So yeah, there's no reason to like move her at all. Like none of these seems like there's a reason to move her. Yeah, that's about it for these guys. Inori, Byako, and Nina, pretty much the same. They don't really add much to the team. In fact, if you notice in the DR section, there just isn't much. If anything, the pure DR characters are just not very useful nowadays.
Especially with Ruka 5 now, you don't really need a pure DR person anymore.
Yeah, pretty much. But that's kind of like the deal. For damage dealers, Mari 3, even though she has the what's it called again? The hit count buff, and it's not really going to be used. Her base damage was actually already stupid high, so she should go higher. In fact, and nowadays the craziest part is her getting that 200 DR used to be more annoying to like pull off to use her. It's really easy with Diva now, so she actually shoots up to like tier 7, I think, straight up, just very good, very strong. No one could really compete with her when it comes to like doing two jobs at the same time of literally field and damage. Just incredibly powerful in that department. Ichigo 3, which used to be considered like garbage, if you have Yuina 5, she goes from being garbage to actually just really strong. Because you could give her because like her main problem before that I noted was that it was really hard to actually give her tokens. It was incredibly hard to give her tokens because she actually has to hit the enemy, and each auto attack is 1, and each skill is 2, and then with the auto attack is 3. So like it was just really hard to build tokens. Yeah, Yuina 5 says we don't care about that. So with Yuina 5, now all of a sudden it's very easy. So just note, very easy. We can move on.
Yeah, both Ichigo and Mona being both of them being light got a lot of benefits from Yuina's token ability.
Exactly. I mean, Yuina's token ability is just so good. It's so good. Ruka 3, obviously, sad part of all Rukas is you can't really use them with Diva, and so we're gonna put her here for now because she's still viable, just not as viable, right? So we just have Mari and Ichigo here, Ichigo 2, as your damage sources. Yeah, it looks kind of small, to be honest, with LB1s, but that's just how it is with LB1s. We go over here. Mona has gone from like not so great to really, really powerful. She's just incredibly strong right now. Her base damage is incredibly strong. I don't think she'll get a tower upgrade anytime soon because she's already way too strong. If they upgrade her even more, then I'd be confused on why. So, boom, Mona 1, tier 8. A lot of reason why she got moved up is because there's a lot of ways to abuse her. Plus, she can get Ruka buff, which means that she can just hit like a truck nowadays. There's a lot more methods to help her from support line nowadays, so she's just easy to use, and yeah, she just kind of hits all the boxes. Maria also has a little bit of helpful use. However, she is definitely not as useful as Ichiko, but I think she deserves to be at least tier 7. In fact, I think over here I marked her as tier 7, but like she doesn't need her SS1 to be strong. Wow, I actually paired them like this. I really did just pair them like that. Jeez, funny. Um, didn't think about that. But yeah, so there we go. Maria gets bumped up a little bit just because tokens. Not that Yuina 5 can help her. Maybe she can actually,
Alright, I'm
but
back.
that's just how it is. Just a lot of movement that we did on the damage dealers that you missed out on, Red. So
Alright.
I don't know like where we stopped, but Mari 3 was bumped up because she like her 200 DR restriction is a lot easier to reach, and then Ichigo got moved up because well Yuina 5 exists, and I think that's pretty obvious. Um, and then Ruka was demoted because it's not Diva. And then we moved Maria up by 1 just because she's pretty good. And then Mona got moved up to tier 8 from tier 6 because, well, Diva exists. So she like, her weakness kind of just doesn't exist anymore. Which was, it was hard to keep her alive in the front line. Now you can give her Diva buff and she'll just auto attack and instantly get all her HP back. So it's like, you can, there's a lot of methods like get her tokens and everything rolling. Yuki 3. Yeah, not really used. I don't think she's. I think she's still like tier 6, but like more like bottom of tier 6. In fact, funny note, Hisame 2 got buffed recently. I don't know if you saw the buffs.
I did
Red.
see the buffs. I'm excited about them.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
never gonna use her, but I'm excited still.
I'm never gonna use her, but I do think she can quote unquote compete with Yuna 3 nowadays.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think she should be in the strong tier. Do I think that she is like Yuna 3 tier? No. But I think she deserves to be in the strong tier with her buffs, her recent buffs. As for Nina 2 here, I think Nina 2 is definitely nowadays, I would consider stronger than Yuki and Karen. And then Luca and Nina 2 are roughly the same. The Nina problem of building DR is not much of an issue anymore, where it used to be, which is why she was so low, and a lot of it had to do with Luca 5, right? Diva just existing. So that's kind of the placements here. So we're done with tier 6. Instead of going to dipping down to tier 5 or moving any of the characters down here that we want to, actually we should move a couple of them. Let's move Kanade to where she belongs, which is oh wait, this version doesn't have Mind Eye because we were pretending
No
she
Mind
doesn't.
Eye.
Yeah, no Mind Eye. I think she's still viable, but I think she is like over here now. She's still viable though. Ichigo should go up more as well. Ichigo is actually really strong right now. I think she deserves like right here, so we should move her up. When I say really strong, I mean like comparatively to where she was before, guys. I don't mean she's actually strong. And I'm trying to see. Maria 1 is still not that viable. Sumomo got a buff. Is Sumomo buff even worth it? What do they buff on Sumomo? Do you have the buff list? Like what they buffed, Red?
They basically made her previous conditional unconditional and made the new condition give her half SP on her ultimate.
Well, that's actually viable.
The TLDR.
Yeah, I'll put her right here. She's viable.
And she also got a bunch of other buffs.
I know.
She now has a skill that gives
this one
defense
does.
down, single target.
Yeah, I mean that's why I think she
She has
deserves.
a skill that gives her dodge, and she also just gets dodge when she uses her.
Wait, isn't the dodge one this one though? SS2.
I don't remember.
It's one of them.
They're all the same skill.
All I know is
Dodge is SS2.
Yeah, I think Dodge is SS2. I just know that they're actually viable now. Both Sumomos are actually viable.
Yeah, you're not using the dodge anyway, so it's not important.
Yeah. Who else am I missing who got buffs? I'm trying to think. We gotta note who got
Maruyama.
buffs. Maruyama's
SS1.
SS1, yeah. I'm trying to think. It was dispel and lower the cost of SP, right?
And she also got higher value crit buffs on her ultimate. Still not great, but they're there.
Wait, it's higher?
She either got higher or she got crit rate where she didn't have crit rate before. I thought it was higher.
She didn't have crit rate before, so she now has crit rate.
Yeah, now she has crit
That's kind of unneeded.
rate. Nobody needs crit.
I think it used to cost 13 SP, now it costs 11.
Got -2 SP.
And it has dispel. She's
Well, everybody has dispel now.
she's viable. She's already on the viable line, but I think she deserves to be higher. Akari, I think, also deserves to be higher at this point, and Inori as well. Trying to I'm not gonna dive into why, guys, just because I'm trying to save up on time, but they should deserve to be higher. I think Sumomo should be above Ichigo. I think this is way more viable. And yeah, I think this is fair. I think that's it. I think this movement's fine. Who else got changed? Karin got changed, but she's not more damage, so we don't care about her damage. Who else got changed? I'm trying to think. I mean, outside the super breaks, we'll dive into this very soon.
Let's see. Karen, Nina, Sumomo, Hisame, Maru, and Misato. That was it.
Okay, Misato one actually matters. I put on as a meme. She actually is viable nowadays. Imagine being upgraded from tier 0 to viable. That's right. Misato is viable, guys. She's actually finally viable. Is she better than them? I think she's actually better than them nowadays, right? With her upgrades and everything. Let me check.
Her damage is still very not great.
No, but it goes
But
up to level 17.
Damage isn't that good.
No, damage is pretty good because the level 17 exists, right? But if we go to 13, it's still not amazing. But at level 17, it's really good. And you get the recovery.
And they made it so that it's always 50%.
Yeah, it's always 50%. You don't have to conditionally. I actually think she's really good nowadays. She can also do her self boost already. That's not connected with her other SSs, right? And then she has this for building OD and getting SP off of it. I actually think she's really viable right now, to be quite frank, right? But do I note her to be strong? No. I think for now I'll leave her here. Move her up one. So Misato is not meme tier anymore. You said Nina got a buff, but I don't think it was useful. It was Nina 1, right? Not Nina 2.
Nina 1.
Yeah, then probably not.
Yeah, Nina 1.
Then probably no changes.
It was just half cost and 3 big hit count up, which is what there's Diva.
Basically worthless. Okay. I think that will still be moved up 1 though. She's at least a little bit more useful. Anything else that you missed for buffs?
Don't think so.
Hisame 1 got buff. Who cares about Hisame 1?
But she got crit piercing. Crit piercing, crit. Penetrating crit.
Yeah, but are you going to use her for damage?
No, sheer not. Ever.
No.
I mean, she deserves to be higher than here, sure. Okay.
For 7 SP, that's pretty good. Except
Sure,
everyone can debuff for 6 SP now. Unfortunate.
Here, we'll just put her right here. Whatever. We'll move the super breakers right now because they can actually be used. So Yuki, actually useful nowadays. And Yuri also useful nowadays. So there we go. Just because they don't need LBs to break anymore. Yay! Before you needed LBs. But Diva Ruka fixed that. Woo! So they got moved up. In fact, I think they're about the same if I
We could
put
go
over
up a
here,
little
right?
bit higher even.
7. Yeah, I put them at 7. Oh, I forgot about Hisame also need to be moved, and so does Akari, because they can actually break nowadays. Jeez. Let's see. Where did I put? Oh, Yudi's just a little bit lower. Yuki and Yudi should be about the same, because Yuki doesn't have the, like, down for an extra turn if she breaks. So I think they should be the same. And then Akari, honestly, really, really stupid strong. We'll just put her right here. And Hisame is, well, let's just put her right here for now. She has a lot more uses. Yeah, I think this is it. I think that's fine. And I can move the rest later. There's no reason to worry about that. Let's fill in the new guys. Woo! The thing that everyone was actually waiting for. And, and a lot of people left because they're like, when are these guys coming? So, Shiki 2. Honestly, very strong. But, Yuina 5 killed her. Actually just murdered her. Sucks to be... Oh, I forgot. I have to move these guys. I'll do it later. I'll just put her here for now. Shiki actually very strong. Just kind of dead because, well, Yuina said hello and decided to ruin everyone's day. Fubuki 2. Very good even as just a utility support. I'm just going to put her on utility support as... Because, without her SS1, she's only an OD machine, right?
Yep.
I don't think there's
Yeah.
anything. Wait, she
She
has
don't even get
no. She has
she don't even get the
she
benefit
has an
of-
AOE defense down. She has an AOE defense down. From A skill. That's it.
Oh, does she?
Yeah.
Oh.
I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's it. So, is that viable?
I would say probably not, because as a attacker, her
Probably not.
int and lux growth stats is pretty low for that. And being AoE already being low compared to single target.
Anyways, Fubuki damage dealer. Limit break 1. Even without her SS1, I think is phenomenal. Her damage is really good. I put her too high. What the heck? I need to move these guys by like that. There we go. What a good placement for her. Even without missing out on certain buffs and stuff, she's actually extremely potent and just deals way too much damage because her base damage is really, really stupidly good. Excuse me. So that's getting rid of these two. Very strong. Ruka 5. I think this one's the most obvious one. Everything I've been talking about is based off of Ruka 5. Hits home at top of tier 9. For sure. If you don't have all the parts, she's just top of tier 9. But if you have all the parts, if you noticed, she does hit the tier 10. Right? So just to let you know, the difference between having all the parts and not having all the parts, you'll feel the difference when you have them. Akari 3. Akari 3 actually deals a lot of damage. Surprisingly a lot of damage for AoE.
It's like Fire Nun, I mean.
Yeah. In fact, her base damage is very high. I would probably place her around tier 6 for damage. Not the best, but not the worst. In fact, for I would place her personally on utility. So she's actually a breaker that has DR, and the fact that now you can actually cleanse her so she doesn't have to worry about her own debuff by running what was it called again? Life aid or something. What is it called? I don't even use that orb. I don't remember what
The
it's
orbs.
called. The one that heals yourself. It also cleanses you now. So because she can actually just cleanse herself. She's actually incredibly strong right now. It just wastes a little bit of SP. Um, I value her just as much as I value her SS2. Extremely powerful. Um, yeah, it's like if you also have her SS1, which this list doesn't count as having SS1, she can help you loop like crazy. It's not even funny. So she is incredibly powerful. We're just gonna house her right there. If you want to see videos of her looping, yeah, the fire loop team, a 4-turn loop. Oh my god, it's disgusting. That's all I have to say. She is so good. Um, but like you have to be able to do math, and who wants to do math? Lisa 3, if debuffs exist, she is the best healer. I think, hands down. Um, you don't need LB3 to make her good. She's just the best healer here. Just making sure we place in the same place. I don't place her too high, but yeah, she just houses herself as best healer. This has a lot to do with the fact that she has Mind's Eye. She has, great enhance, large enhance, and so that's kind of like the biggest deal, right? Is that she has the ability to do both of those. The problem is it's conditional, so your teammates actually need to have a debuff for it to be um, useful. So yeah, just there's that. Then we go to we're skipping Angel Beats, whatever. We're going to the one of the strongest banners that they've ever released. In fact, I might argue this is the strongest banner they've released. Actually, Red, like dual banner.
Yeah, probably.
Like I think Mua Yotsuha was the strongest, and now this is the strongest, de facto strongest.
Nearly a higher power level than that now.
Yeah, like straight up, it's just way too powerful. So Misato is gonna be in the debuff section. She's gonna go just in the same place as our others. She's if you look at her kit, actually, it's not that different from Hisame 4. So I'm gonna put her in the Hisame 4 district. The only difference of her condition is that she can't give you an extra turn if you're not an OD, and OD is a very important part of her kit. I find Hisame 4 to be a lot easier to use than Misato 3, personally. Um, but so that's why she's on the bottom of it. However, just note that this is talking about if you do not have all of her versions. If you actually have Misato 1, Misato 3 is very, very potent because you can actually, during OD, you can provide your whole team with plus 5 SP, which is really potent, especially when her her EX only costs 11 SP. It's very cheap for providing so much like utility. Uina 5. Where should I mark Uina 5 actually?
What do you mean? That's buffer or
utility? I think just utility, right? Just straight up utility. Because it's buffing,
yeah,
like DR, OD, token. Like I think you mark her more of a utility than you do a DR. Like I think you don't really think about her DR. You just think that because of Yuruka buffing her DR is good. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So, do you? I still think Aina's more powerful than her. But do you think she's in the same level as power as Aina 2, or do you think she is a little bit worse or a little bit better? Because for sure she's tier 9. There's no question on that. She's tier 9. There's no way you can cross her to tier 8. She's just that strong. Where would you value her? Red.
You've been put her behind Aina, but in the same tier. So right next to Aina.
Like right here?
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, I think she goes
I've
right
only
here.
used her at LB3 though, so I have a little bit skewed perspective. But her LB3 doesn't really change how you use her. So.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, the only thing you're changing is she can survive better, more damage. And you can, and it's just lower damage from the passive. The LB3 passive not existing. It shouldn't be that much of a change.
Mm-hmm.
Her stats aren't too important. And then lastly, our favorite Nanamin. So I have been using a lot of Nanamin, a lot, of pain and suffering. Um, I will note this. Um, she is actually really good. The issue is if the rest of your team isn't really good, she's really bad. So the main takeaway of Nanamin is that um, she's only as good as your account is. Think of it kind of like how like Mono 1 is like actually just she's as good as your account is. Um, she does a lot of stuff, and the greatest part about her is she's like a damage dealer who doesn't have to be dealing damage, right? So you can use her to be your buffer. You can use her to be like your what's called your damage dealer. There's a bunch of things she can actually do and house. As a damage dealer, she actually is incredibly potent just because she can buff herself. And there's just a lot of things that she can actually do. But at LB1, it doesn't change if she's LB1 or 0 because she doesn't need SP, and she gets an SP but passive. So like if on an LB0 tier list, she would be high up there. Like she would actually be really really high up because you don't really need her to do anything. Um, her main issue is that she will deplete your DP for everyone on your team by 7 every turn until she's at max EP, which is 10 EP for 10 turns. That's the main issue, is that 10 turns, that's 70% of your DP gone. Total DP gone. Over those 10 turns. And if you end up using her EX one time, which is 8 EP, that is 8 extra turns, or like 56% extra DP you have to pay. She's incredibly hard to use, and as you know, that this tier list is based off of how easy they are to use. She's not easy to use. She's actually incredibly hard to use and really annoying to use, actually. Therefore, she will be rated lower than you expect just because of that mere factor alone. To put in perspective, she is so annoying to use that people who post like their their score attacks and stuff in JP, I've been trying to dig, and it's really hard for me to even find someone who actually ran score attacks with her. Just because, like, not only is leveling her a pain because, well, she has to start from level 1, and we just got a level up, max level increase, it's just so hard to actually just use her because unless you have, like, Mua LB3 or, like, something to give you heal over time, and it's really strong and gives it to the whole team, like you really feel that damage that she deals to your own team. So I'm personally, for damage section, going to rate her like straight up viable. She's viable. I would not recommend using her, but I love using her because it's not on me. But like honestly, not viable. I wouldn't recommend it to anyone. Excuse me. And to be honest, I will put her an elemental buffer because she is an elemental buffer. And for now, I will place her here. It says unviable. She is viable just because we have to kind of like move these guys around so far. But that's my experience with Dunamine. I know Red hasn't tried using her because she looks like a pain in the ass. So it's all on me. Wally, have you ever tried using Nanamine, or did you even fall for her?
I've been trying with her in Thunder Team, but honestly, I will say she's either viable or even lower just because you want.
You're breaking up, bud. I can't hear you. Oh no. You broke up.
Oh.
I don't know what's happening.
Yeah, still bad right now?
Okay, it's better. Yes.
Okay.
What did you say?
I'll say for Nanami, like at LB1, I would either rate her viable or even lower just because it takes 8 turns for her EP to be able to activate her EX. Otherwise, you're only gonna be either using her very weak penetrating crit attack or just a party attack buff that saps even more of your DP.
Exactly.
which is not really viable for normal team.
Yeah. So like I said, if you notice here, she is marked as just viable and nothing else. She is not extremely viable at all. She is borderline unviable. At LV3, she is much better and actually like much higher in the list. But at LV, like anything under LV3, she is like barely viable. Um, Now I'm gonna work on this elemental area here just because there's a lot of like moving around, I guess should I say, to do. Um, but yeah, first of all, yeah, cheeky, all this should be fine. Um, let's see, let's see who can be moved, who has a placement, or maybe they should just all be left like this giant cluster on the bottom here. I think Yotsuha is technically better than all of them in general, right? I think overall she is better than all of them, but she's just not that good. I think Shadow and Karen, yeah, they should be on the top here. Uh, Iroha with only her EX, OD plus extra hit plus a weak dark field. Better than Tsukasa, that's for sure. In fact, I think better than Iroha too. It's about the same. Iroha 2 you can fit in a team without. And then Yunyun, I think, goes here because she can also still defense down. Wow, that looks really empty. But honestly, how I feel. Red, how do you feel about this? Like this elemental buffer area? I think this is literally how it feels.
There's a big gap between the characters that are viable and the ones that aren't viable right now.
There's a big gap between the ones that are strong and then the ones that are like viable. Like they are viable, but they're just not usable without their other parts. Yeah, I think this is it. Yeah.
It's like when Mua came along and she was so much better than all the other healers, and there was
Yeah.
a big gap between
Yeah,
her
there's a
and the
big gap
rest.
between them.
But for elemental buffers.
I'll move Nanamin here, I think. Yeah, there you go.
You're providing numbers that are too small, aka numbers that are from like year 1 or year 2. You're just not good enough.
That is
You need
true.
bigger numbers now.
We got bigger numbers now. You gotta hit 1.5 billion damage nowadays.
Giving 130% crit damage.
130% crit damage with one skill that costs 8 SP.
For
Damn,
what,
where
5
is
turns?
Nanami buff? Okay, so Nanami buff will be later. I'm just saying a lot of people are very disappointed with Nanami's kit when she came out. That is for sure. Red knows how upset I was. I was very, very sad.
Yeah.
I was so sad. I was devastated. But did I
She
use
needs a
her?
buff.
Yes, I did. What?
She needs a buff.
Oh yeah, she needs a buff.
Not good
You,
enough.
you know what they needed to do? I think it's a main issue. I mean a huge issue. I think a huge issue is that her her EP cost on her EX is 8. It's way too high, I think.
Yeah, 8 is too high.
I think 8 is too high because that means you have to pay the price of like 56% DP afterwards. Like that's a lot of DP you have to pay for it, you know? Like you already paid 56, now you have to pay another 50. That's over 100% of your DP for like something that's not so good. Like why? Like this should have been 130% crit damage. You know, like it's not good enough. It's so bad. You know, wait 8 turns for 90% thunder crit damage. It's kind of feels bad. Did they officially say they're gonna buff her? No, they did not. But what they do is they actually look at to see how many people actually use them, if not like their performance, and then kind of gauge between that on who they want to buff. So like for instance, long time ago we really complained about Inori 2 being garbage, complete utter garbage. And man, dude, I remember KSW crying how bad she is because he actually likes her, right? He was just like, dude, why would they ever release a null element in an elemental meta? What do you guys suggest for new players in JP to choose from third anniversary selector? Fortunately, I have Diva in exchange for Mua. Should I pick Tama 5 or other styles like Koju 3? I would not pick Koju 3. Just saying. She's not very starter friendly. Um, uh,
Irene Gaming.
if
Just
I
get
were
Irene,
you,
get the rest of one, and be set.
um, if I were
Easy.
you, when you say third anniversary selector, you mean like the paid one, right? The one that like because the paid one versus the other ones are a big difference. Um, the paid one I think only goes up to I haven't bought that one, so I don't remember. It's like right before Admiral, I think. So yeah, he said the paid one. Um, if it's the paid one, uh, I mean, it depends on your choices on who you have, right? So if you have someone like Sumomo Irene, like the Irene series right here, right? Like if you already have them, um, then you could pick something else. But if you don't have them, my personal pick would probably be Inori 2 or Irene 2, to be quite frank. Just because you can actually just use them everywhere and farm your like actually like have viable stuff and it's very cheap, right? Um, if you're talking about SS1 things like SS1 tickets and selectors and stuff that you don't have things you don't have yet, I would recommend you to pick up Kura 1. Kura 1 is going to help you get her a mastery skill eventually, and you're going to want to use that. If you already have Inori or Irene or Sumomo, right, like that series, you can look towards trying to grab um, Tama, Suit-Tama, Miyatu, or even Aina 2, right? Like any of these ones that are going to be very useful for that team comp. In fact, I kind of have that over here. If you look in here in the pull recommendation tab here, right? Um, we have the Irene set here, right? And then we have over here your general supports. So the general supports are going to be the ones that you're going to want to look at. Um, Ignore Union. Union's here just because this is like actually right here. In the event you don't have Diva Ruka, there we go. So in the event you don't have Diva Ruka, right? Which you do. So there's no reason to pick up Union, right? But like Aina, Fubuki, pretty good for pickups for. Of course, this is not for like the paid selector, by the way. Like the SS1s, those are all legitimately for just the what's it called? For the SS1 selectors, right? Like the ones you don't pay for. But the ones you pay for, I would look more towards like Suit Tama's good. If you already have one of these, right? Like remember, if you already have one of these. If you don't have one of these, you would go for these. If you're gonna choose between Inori and Irene, um, personally, Irene probably works like is a lot easier to use than Inori 2, but Inori 2 is better. It just depends on which one you want. Like the one that's going to be better in the future and continue to be better, and you can invest in them with your SS shards, or would you rather have the one that's like going to be useful now and useful, still like good, just not top of the line? I think Red would agree with me on that one. On like that's how you should gauge between Irene and Inori 2.
Yep, pretty much.
Right? Is like Inori 2 is definitely better, but you need a little bit more built around her because she costs 18 SP to use her EX. Well, Irene 2 is like goes in a negative, doesn't care, and shoots out like things like candy. Shoots out damage like candy. So, it just depends on that. For your SS1 selector stuff, I would pick up Kura for sure, and then pick up probably Fubuki or Maki 1 for sure, like one of these. And you're going to have to try to climb tower for both of them, right? Like you're going to need to get tower for both. And that's what I would do. Can I just content with Irene SS1 for critical team? No. Um, Irene 1 is the damage is not as high as the others, right? And the only time you'll use it is during AoE content. You really want Irene 2 to do for single target, with Irene 1 generalized into Irene 2 in order to make full use of her kit, right? And then Inori 2 is just straight up better damage, like actually just straight up better damage than Irene 2 and 1 in both AoE and single target. It's just that she's a little bit more investment heavy because she will require you to have more SP, so like the fights will be a little bit longer. So fights like that should have been over with maybe like Irene 2 just EXing right off the gate. Inori needs like 3 turns or something to get there or something like that. So that's kind of like how you should gauge it. Is like where do you want to draw the line? Can you still get everything you need at Irene 2? Yes. Just saying, you can get everything you need. Just note that Inori 2 technically is stronger. That's it. But I would recommend getting one of those, just because they will give you everything you need for quite some time. I think we cut it to like, what, an hour and a half? Wait, how long have we been streaming? I need to check. How can I check? I'm too like slow with these things. Started around 2 o'clock. Hey, it's only 2 hours. We did it, Red. We like cut down all the fat. So you can chill for the rest of the day. Which is great. I don't want to take up everyone's time all the time. So, yay. There we go. There we go. This is the, I'll fix it up how it looks, but this is the JP tier list. I will move, or probably not even move the ones that are like lower, because there's like no reason to. They're just so low that there's no point for me to touch them. And then work with this.
They also don't really like change what they do anymore nowadays. They also don't really change like their roles anymore.
Oh, like they used to?
You don't use them anyways.
Yeah. Like, you don't really use them for a
yeah.
lot of stuff. And, I mean, unless WFS actually buffs them, there's not much to talk about for them.
Yeah, like what happened with Misato.
Oh yeah, Mia got an upgrade. She's still not viable. I really don't even want to move her. Like, that's how bad her upgrade was. Her tower upgrade is like, there's no reason to move her. I think Red will agree with me. It's like, the tower upgrade was so
Really
bad. It was so disappointing. I just don't move her. I mean, there wasn't much they could do with her. Let's be honest, though. There wasn't much they could do with her. Her competition is light fields. Like, what is she gonna do to be good?
Right now, in terms of life field, like they need to somehow give her a way to get like maybe like internal large zone, but I feel like that'll be too much of a buff.
Eternal fragile.
Internal fragile. Oh no.
That would be good for us.
Thing is, I have a really solid light team with Mona 3, Yuina 5. For fire, I have Yotsuha 1, Nikaido 3. Problem with fire is I don't have any OD generator. I do have Maki. I mean, you could still use Maki as your OD generator. She can still generate some OD. Not by a lot, but like it's a lot of DR instead. But you could do both. Um, to be quite frank, um, I don't know like how much like your account looks and everything, so it's kind of hard for me to gauge what you should need. But Koju 3 is definitely not one of them. If you want to make those fire teams or light teams better, you should just gauge upon it like on pull recs, right? So um, for light, you would want to have Casa 3, like for sure, right? Um, for fire, right? You better make sure you have either Megu or Iroha 2. And if you don't have Iroha 1, there's no reason to be Iroha 2, so you just grab Megu 3, for instance, right? This is like how I would like do it, right? And it's like depends. Like, do you really want to work on those teams? Um, like, that's up to you. Pick and choose your battles, right? And then your fire damage dealer, I don't know. You didn't name one, so I don't know if you have any fire damage dealer to begin with. But funny enough, Megu 3 could still be your fire damage dealer. Yay! She's so strong. Lolly, are you ready to see Fire Megu stop you from getting high score attack?
I'm already getting that in other elements.
Are you ready for Megu to make it worse? She will not allow you, dude. Not once.
I know that she already does more damage than Tama for sure, and Tama is already killing things for me.
I know,
So
right?
I'm even considering stopping at LB3 for Megu instead of MLB, just because I don't want her to do too much damage.
You know, you just take off that just take off that ring, you know, it just doesn't need a ring. You take off the charms, it's still not enough. She just still kills.
Yeah, it's probably not gonna be enough. That's because one extra LB is already 10% extra stats plus another 10 levels.
Make sure you
So
don't
it's
level up
like
her skills. Lolly, don't level up her skills. Don't do it.
there's only so much I can do. The more you use her, the more it's just gonna automatically level up. You might even level up doing it SA yourself.
It's so good. She's so good. At this point, you should just use her as your main damage dealer, Lolly. I don't know.
The funny thing is that actually could work because we're getting Angel Beasts doing summer instead.
Yeah.
So we're only gonna have Ruka for now.
I know. Is that why you're just gonna be like, hey, for now, I'll just use Megu because it looks cool?
We could, yeah.
Yeah. Dude, Megu's so good. But yeah, Aberrant, that's like your different choices. Anyways, I should probably just update this right here. What's the date? 15? 15. Boom. Look at that. And then not directory, change log. We're gonna add a row here. We're gonna say that we updated tier list JP, and it's gonna be the AS Mastery one. There we go. And I will close the stream on YouTube end. Enjoy yourselves.